Over the years there have been many stories of the mythical Mothman. Whether you believe it's real or not, dozens of witnesses have come forward with their testimony. Although not all the same, most of the eyewitnesses' statements follow a theme. Because of this, a picture can be painted of the Mothman. The creature is believed to be dark in colour, being either grey, olive green or brown. It's said to stand around 7 feet tall and have the torso of a muscular human. Witnesses suggest it has no discernible facial features, except for its piercing red eyes, which are said to have an almost hypnotic effect on those who witness it. The eyes in 99% of the sightings are described as being bright red. The eyes are also described as being reflective of light, but glowing and much more intense than a normal animal. When in the presence of the creature, eyewitnesses describe a helpless or hypnotizing feeling, such as not being able to run, walk, or in some cases even move. The gaze of the eyes is also described to be the deciding factor for not being able to describe the facial features. When eyewitnesses describe being hypnotized, they describe it as being drawn into the eyes, and everything else becoming a blur of vision. The creature is generally described as having leathery wings like a bat, and has a wingspan of around 10 to 12 feet. Less than 2 years after the first Mothman sighting in America, an odd phenomenon began to be reported in the Highgate area of North London. Ordinary people going about their daily lives suddenly began to report strange and frightening encounters with a tall, dark vampire-like creature. The activity centred on Highgate Cemetery. The British media had a field day with the story, and immediately called the creature a vampire. However, there are those that believe people could have been seeing the Mothman. It's important to remember that in 1976 in Moorland, Cornwall, there was a sighting of a large creature known as Owlman. The first sighting took place on the 17th of April 1976. This was when witnesses started seeing the creature hovering above the church tower. What's interesting to note is that nearly 50 years earlier in London, in the spring of 1922, an enormous bat-like creature was witnessed. The mysterious creature had a wingspan of 6 feet, and was reported flying around at West Drayton Church. This was during the night of a full moon. Several eyewitnesses watched the creature dive into the churchyard, where it roamed the tombs. When 2 policemen gave chase into the church cemetery, the creature let out a loud screech, and flew into the air to evade them. Some have linked the Mothman to this encounter. The Nightcrawler, also known as the Fresno alien, is a cryptid that has made 2 appearances so far, one in Fresno, California and the other in Yosemite National Park. In both sightings it's only seen in video footage. It appears to be a relatively short creature, approximately 4 feet in height. It's an extremely thin white humanoid with no discernible arms. It also appears to be wearing a white gown or cloak of some sort. According to certain Native Americans in the surrounding area, the Nightcrawlers have existed on Earth for a considerable amount of time, and come from a planet consisting majorly of swampland. Their legs are thought to help them maneuver through the boggy terrain. To these Native Americans, the swamp world aliens are here on Earth to assist in an awakening, to rebuild the connection between man and nature, and subsequently bring peace and harmony to the planet. Recently, one of my subscribers sent me these images, and said the following. I found these images online that suggest it shows a Nightcrawler. The original poster stated that a motion camera was able to snap these images. Not much information has been released about the photos, and over the years there have only been a few videos and pictures that have been released. Many think that the Nightcrawler is a hoax, while others think they're real creatures that only come out at night. One eyewitness said the following about their encounter. I was walking the Bridgewater Triangle one evening. For those of you who don't know, the Bridgewater Triangle refers to an area of around 200 square miles within southeastern Massachusetts in the United States. Now, over the years, some of my friends have encountered numerous cryptozoological creatures. The most common thing witnessed here is the tall ape-like creatures, but on this one occasion I witnessed something I've never seen before. The only way I can describe it is that the creature had 2 long legs, and a small hump-like head. I watched this thing as it slowly waded its way through the swamp. The lighting was bad and I only watched it for around 20 seconds. What was odd is how quiet it was. If I had to guess, I would say this creature was around 4 to 5 feet tall, and in the darkness it blended in very well. I asked one of my friends if they had seen a creature like this before, but they said they didn't. After doing some research, I'm sure I witnessed one of these Nightcrawlers. Since the late 1990s, BlackEyed Children have been an essential component of paranormal folklore. Those who have come forward and reported their encounters have been left scared and wanting answers. The witnesses often feel that the children were somehow supernatural and could even read their minds. This story was sent to me a while back. The woman said the following about her encounter. My name is Lisa and I live in Telford. My boyfriend came over to stay on this particular night, and we decided to go for a walk. Where I live is a beautiful place and I generally feel very safe where I am. After eating dinner we decided to go out for a walk. Everything was fine, but around 40 minutes in we noticed something strange. My boyfriend picked up on the fact we were being followed by a child. I looked back and saw the little girl. However, I couldn't really make out what she looked like because it was dark. My boyfriend asked me whether we should go over and help, but I thought she may have been with her family. 10 minutes after this encounter, I looked behind us and the little girl was gone. But things only got more strange after this. A few minutes later we came to a dark crossroad and the little girl started to walk towards us. Not only did this scare us, but we wondered how she managed to get in front. We decided to walk towards the little girl, but both of us were nervous. We thought she may have been lost. As soon as we was around 15 feet from this girl, we looked at each other. This girl's eyes were entirely black, and not only that, but her clothing looked really old. She said in a calm voice, "I need you to come with me." She pointed to me and during the whole encounter blanked my boyfriend. I said no and quickly walked off. While doing so, she just stood there and stared at us. It's the creepiest thing that's ever happened to me, and I have no answer for what we encountered that night. What's interesting is Telford is not far from Cannock Chase. This is the place where many people have reported encountering a black-eyed child. In fact, one of the most famous photos of a black-eyed child comes from here. This isn't the only black-eyed child story. One night a man was dozing in the spare bed in his infant daughter's room, when he heard a strange bump outside his house. Initially the man thought nothing of it, believing it to be the family cat, but the thumps continued. The man checked the porch, but the cat was nowhere to be found. He then walked into the kitchen and found two figures loitering outside his front door. They knocked on the door. Both were boys around 10 or 11 and gave off a mouldy odour. "May we use your telephone?" one of the boys asked. To his horror, the man realised both boys had eyes that were completely black. Ignoring the odd remark about the telephone, the man told the boys he didn't have any service in his house, and then shut the door. As the man slowly made his way back out to his daughter's room, the two boys thumped on the walls. The man clutched his daughter to his chest as the boys constantly knocked against the window. Their eerie eyes and awful persistence made the man too scared to fall asleep. He remained crouched on the floor of the room for several hours, fighting to ignore the knocks that occurred every couple of minutes. The moment his wife's alarm clock went off, however, the knocking ceased, and the black-eyed children were nowhere to be seen. There are many places the world over that are said to be haunted. One such place is the ancient Ram Inn located in Gloucestershire. Many people who have visited here have come away with their own ghost stories. The ancient Ram Inn has often been referred to as one of the most haunted buildings in Britain. The house itself is said to have been the location of many sinister happenings. The owner believes that he shares his home with all sorts of supernatural beings, those of which include two demons, a witch, shadow people, orbs and other ghostly presences, and many people who have visited the property have described it as the scariest place they've been to. The shadow people are the most commonly seen entities. Those who are experiencing and studying the shadow people phenomenon say these entities are always seen out of the corner of the eye, and this experience is always very brief. But more and more people are beginning to see them straight on for longer periods of time. Some people have come forward and said they have seen their eyes, and they are usually blood red. One person while visiting the pub encountered a shadow person. They said the following: I had travelled here with a few friends as we love to visit old buildings. I'd done my research about this old building and it seemed to be the perfect place for a visit. I know the paranormal isn't for everyone, but I believe I'm in tune with it. One example of this is when I walked inside the building, I got a weird sensation. I felt like the building was very active and there was lots of energy. As we were walking around, I kept seeing what I can only describe as a blur. This blur kept flickering in and out of my vision, almost as if it wanted to be seen. I attempted to capture it on camera, but the photograph didn't come out well. I think there is definitely something going on here and I will be visiting again very soon. Another witness had this to say about their encounter. My experience at the ancient Ram Inn was not a good one. I'm quite a sensitive person and I get scared really easily. I didn't go to this place alone, I went with my partner who loves anything to do with the paranormal. After visiting here for around an hour or so, we left. Nothing happened and it appeared to be an old building with a weird atmosphere. However, a few days later I began having very vivid nightmares, all of which would take place in this pub. I could never make out their faces, but these tall entities would always appear in my dreams. They were so bad at one point I even tried to stay awake and not sleep. I spoke to some people and they suggested that my boyfriend wake me up every 15 minutes or so. They said that this would interrupt the dreaming pattern. I think this actually helped because the nightmares did fade. Thankfully they've now stopped, but this is one place I won't be visiting again. If you're into the paranormal, then this is somewhere you may be interested in. Skeptics don't believe that ghosts exist and offer other explanations for what people are seeing. For example, it could be shadows cast by other objects, the mind playing tricks on us, and many other things. However, it's not just like one or two people witnessing the paranormal. Thousands of people have come forward every year with their encounters, some of which sound very believable. So my question to you guys is, do you believe in the paranormal? Let me know in the comments. A few years back, something bizarre started to happen in Iowa. Men dressed in all black were witnessed by hundreds of people. Authorities in southeast Iowa tried to find out who these men were, but didn't have any success. These men were always seen in black trench coats and were always spotted in the dark alongside roadways. Several people on social media began sharing their sightings and stories. Some think it could have been a prank, but others are not so sure. Thousands of UFO sightings have been reported in the last 70 years, and one of the emerging themes in these events is the Men in Black. The Men in Black are men or aliens dressed in black suits who have been reported to harass UFO witnesses to keep them quiet about what they've seen. In most cases, the men claim to be government agents, but it's often suggested they may be ancient aliens themselves. People who have reported an encounter of the Men in Black often describe the men as having strange facial features and being very robotic. They are typically men of short stature and have a deeply tanned and dark complexion. According to the accounts, Men in Black always seem to have detailed information on the person they contact, as if the individual had been under surveillance for a long period of time. Even mainstream media have questioned who these men are. The Men in Black of Iowa still remains a mystery. The county sheriff's department said the following on social media: "We have had several reports of men dressed in black entering the roadway in rural Muscatine County. We don't have any new information about these people, but we have also seen several posts on Facebook about the same type of activity." One person said the following about their encounter: "It was 2 AM and I was driving on a quiet road. There was nothing around due to it being out in the sticks. I hadn't seen a car in what seemed like ages. As I was driving, I saw what appeared to be a smartly dressed man on the side of the road. What was weird is that the person never looked up. He just continued to stare into the distance. I drive a large truck and it's not as if he didn't see it coming. He didn't step back into the brush or even put his hand up. The whole experience was really weird and I have no idea what or who the person was. There was no cars parked nearby, so for me that ruled out a prank." Another person had this to say: "I was driving with my friend and decided to pull over to get a little rest from driving. We'd been sat in this spot for around 10 minutes when something weird happened. This man dressed in smart black clothes appeared out of nowhere. He was around 5'6" and was smart looking. It was gone 12 at night though, and we were both confused as to why he was standing on the side of the road. My friend asked if we should give him a lift, but something didn't sit right. I decided the best thing to do was to drive away. Some have put forward the theory that it may have been a prank, but as many people have mentioned, they would have been standing there for a long time, and there was no other people or cars to indicate this was a prank. To this day, the Men in Black of Iowa remains a mystery. So what do you guys make of this? I'm interested to hear your theories, so don't forget to leave a comment. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.